Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sarita, working as Associate Professor in the Chemistry Department of St. Peter's Engineering College. In this session, we are going to discuss about the Nuclear Magnetic Resonance Spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy. NMR spectroscopy is very much helpful for the elucidation of the structure of organic molecules, as it gives exact information about the chemical environment of the each and every proton. So it is very helpful for the chemist to identify the structure of the unknown compound. So in our previous session we already discussed about spectroscopy, UV as well as IR spectroscopical techniques. So spectroscopy is a branch of science which deals with the interaction of electromagnetic radiation and how the matter is going to change its structure and properties based on the interaction of electromagnetic radiation. Now, when the electromagnetic radiation radio waves interact with the matter, the NMR spectroscopy will be observed, and the radio waves are having the lowest energy among all the radiation of electromagnetic radiation, with a radio frequency between 10 meters to 1 centimeters, that is 3 into 10 to the power of 6 to 3 into 10 to the power of 10 hertz, and energy involved is 0.001 to 10 joules per mole. Under this region, if the electromagnetic radiation interacts with the matter, then the NMR spectroscopy will be observed. To predict whether the atom is showing NMR activity or not, we have to depend upon the nuclear magnetic spin quantum number. If the number of protons and the number of neutrons of an atom are even, means if the atom is having even number of protons and even number of neutrons, then the spin quantum number, nuclear spin quantum number for that atom is 0. Then these atoms will not show NMR signal. Examples are carbon 12 and oxygen 16 atoms. These atoms will not show NMR signal. And if we are having proton number as odd and neutrons also odd, then nuclear spin quantum number for such atoms are 1, 2, 3, and these will show NMR signal. And if the protons, number of protons are odd and number of neutrons are even, then we will get the nuclear spin as half, 3 by 2 and 5 by 2, and these also will show NMR signal. For proton we will have, for hydrogen nucleus we will have 1 proton and number of neutrons is 0, and for that we will have the nuclear spin as half and it will show the NMR signal, and mostly we will concentrate on the proton NMR in this session. Now coming to the nucleus of the atom. The nucleus of the atom is having protons and neutrons and it is charged. So the charged particle will rotate it along its own axis and it will act as a tiny magnet, and the direction of the magnetic field will be from north to south in this direction. So this tiny magnet will show magnetic momentum, and when this is placed in an external magnetic field, when this nucleus of the atom is placed in an external magnetic field, it may align along with the magnetic field in the same alignment or with that of the external magnetic field, or in the opposite direction of the external magnetic field. And coming to the precessional frequency, which is very important, the precessional frequency is nothing but like the nucleus, spinning nucleus will be rotating, making a precessional orbit, a oval shaped orbit on the top and bottom of the spinning nucleus, and this is known as the precessional orbit. And the speed with which the spinning nucleus is rotating along its own axis, that is known as the precessional frequency, and it can be represented as mu L. Mu L equals to, it can be represented as gamma into h by 2 pi of h naught, Mu L is the precessional frequency, or which is also known as the Larmor frequency, and gamma is the gyromagnetic ratio. And gamma can be calculated, gyromagnetic ratio can be calculated by the ratio of mu by I. The spinning nucleus will create a magnetic field around its own axis, and in absence of the external magnetic field, all the nuclear magnets will be randomly oriented according to their magnetic field and according to the axis on which they are rotating. They will be arranged randomly, and when they are placed when the same nuclear magnets are placed in presence of external magnetic field, the nuclear magnetics will be oriented with or against along with the external magnetic field or opposite to the external magnetic field. And this is the diagram which is showing the two alignments for the nucleus when it is placed in the external magnetic field. This is the nucleus which is present along with the external magnetic field, having the same alignment with the external magnetic field, and that is known as the alpha spin state, and it is shown with plus half aligned with the external magnetic field and which is having the lower energy. And the nucleus which is having alignment in opposite to the external magnetic field, that will be having the higher energy, and it is known as the beta state, and this spin is having minus half I, and this is aligned against the applied magnetic field with higher energy. So hydrogen proton has plus half and minus half spin states. The proton hydrogen have plus half spin state when it is aligned with the magnetic field, and it will have minus half spin state when it is aligned opposite to the field. And when the NMR signal will be observed, that is when the rotating nucleus, when the spinning nucleus is placed in the external magnetic field, and when it is irradiated with the radio frequency of the electromagnetic radiation, and when the electromagnetic radiation radio frequency matches with the precessional frequency of the spinning nucleus, then that is known as the resonance condition. And in the resonance condition, energy will be absorbed by the spinning nucleus from the electromagnetic radiation, and it will flip from lower energy state to the higher energy state, and then it will give the NMR signal. Here you can observe, after absorbing the energy from the electromagnetic radiation radio frequency, this nucleus has flipped into the higher energy state, means the spinning alignment is going to change. Here if it is having plus half, after changing to the higher energy state, the spin of the nucleus is going to flip, it will get minus half. When the sample having several protons is irradiated with the radio frequency radiation in presence of external magnetic field, then what will happen is, based on the external magnetic field and based on the energy of the radio frequency radiation, when the energy of the radio frequency radiation, or when the wavelength of radio frequency radiation matches with the spinning nucleus, that particular nucleus will flip to the higher energy state. It will jump from lower energy to the higher energy by absorbing the energy from the radio frequency waves, and it will flip its nucleus. So like that, based on the energy of each nucleus, when it matches, when it will become resonated, at that time it will flip to the higher energy state, and the energy difference between the lower energy state and higher energy state, that is E1 and E2, will be represented as delta E, that equals to h mu, and can be represented as gamma into h by 2 pi into h naught, where h naught is the strength of external magnetic field. this is a representation of NMR peak, like when the radio frequency radiation is passed on to the spinning nucleus, and when the resonance occurs for the spinning nucleus, it will flip to the higher energy, and that will get the NMR, that will gives the NMR peak. Coming to the solvents used in the NMR. When we are using the solvent in the NMR, that should not have any number of protons. If it is having the protons, it also will give some signal in the NMR spectrum. So always non-protonated solvents will be used in the NMR spectrum, and mostly the deuterated chloroform solution, CdCl3 solution, will be used as a solvent. Non-polar solvent will be used mostly, and the solvent which is used in the NMR must be inexpensive, and that should be able to dissolve almost all the organic substances in it, and it should be easily evaporated even after taking the NMR spectrum. And for the polar compounds, DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, deuterated dimethyl sulfoxide or deuterated benzene also can be used as the solvent, but most commonly preferred solvent is deuterated chloroform, CdCl3. This is most commonly used, and if you are having any polar compounds, then we will go for the usage of deuterated dimethyl sulfoxide as the solvent in taking the NMR signal from the different organic compounds. Now coming to the internal standard, that is a reference, internal reference, which we are going to use in the NMR spectrum. When we are taking the NMR spectrum of any organic compound, we have to compare the signal of each proton of the compound with the reference protons. Then only we will be able to identify the chemical shift, and with the help of chemical shift we are going to identify or predict the chemical environment of the different atoms. So here tetramethylsilane is used as the internal standard or internal reference compound, and here this tetramethylsilane is having silicon which is attached to 4 methyl groups, and if you observe, these 4 methyl groups are identical. All of them are having the similar environment, so all these 12 protons are equal, and all these 12 protons will give a single signal in the NMR spectroscopy, hence it is highly preferred. And it is chemically inert, it will not react with any of the compound which we are going to use to get the NMR spectra, and it is suitable for large range of the solvents, and it is less electronegative than carbon. Silicon is less electronegative than carbon, so we will get the chemical shift lower than what that of carbon, and it is highly volatile. Even after taking the NMR signal of the sample, it can be removed from the sample easily, as it is highly volatile, can be evaporated easily at the room temperature, and it does not take part in any intermolecular association with the sample. It neither react with the sample nor react with the solvents. Hence the internal standard solution which is used in the NMR spectroscopy is tetramethylsilane, and which will give only single signal in the NMR spectrum. Now coming to the chemical environment of different protons. So equivalent and non-equivalent protons are nothing but if the protons are chemically equivalent, means if they are attached to the same chemical environment, they will also magnetically become equivalent. And if the protons are chemically non-equivalent, means if they are attached to different chemical environment, then magnetically also they will become non-equivalent protons. So for example, chemical equivalent protons, if we take ethane, both the methyl groups are same. The three hydrogens attached to 2 different carbons, but they are same, attached to same chemical environment. So this ethane 6 protons are chemically equivalent, hence they will give one signal. And in methane, all 4 hydrogens are attached to the same carbon, so these 4 hydrogens will give a single signal. They are chemically equivalent, and magnetically also they are equivalent. non-equivalent protons. For example, here you can take methyl ethyl ketone, and this one is 2 propanone, and here this methyl is attached to C double bond O, whereas this CH2 having 2 protons and this CH3 3 protons, but it is attached to CH2. So here we are having 3 different sets of protons, this CH3 one set, this CH2 one set, and this CH3 another set. So it will give 3 NMR signals in the NMR spectrum, because all the 3 are 3 different sets of protons. They are chemically non-equivalent, hence they will become non-equivalent magnetically also. Whereas in propane, this CH3 and CH3 both are attached to same CH2, so these two are chemically equivalent. These 6 hydrogens will give single signal, whereas this center CH2, that 2 protons will give another signal, so 2 signals will be observed for the propane. Acetaldehyde, these 3 hydrogens of the methyl are identical, they will give one signal, whereas the aldehyde proton is different, this will give another signal. In ethyl bromide, CH3 is different from CH2Br, so it will give 2 different signals. The equivalent protons, like if we observe this compound, that is CH3Cl methyl chloride, the 3 CH protons are chemically equivalent, so there won't be any splitting because these 3 protons will give single signal, and 4 CH protons of C2H4Cl2, that is 4 CH protons are chemically equivalent, no splitting occurs. These equivalent protons do not split with each other, means they will give equivalent protons always will give single signal, because magnetically also they are equivalent. The proton bonded to the same carbon will split each other only if they are non-equivalent chemically and magnetically. So always equivalent protons will have the same chemical shift value. Now coming to the non-equivalent protons, this Ha and Hb are attached to the same carbon, having the same chemical environment, equivalent protons. Whereas this adjacent protons, the protons which are present on the adjacent carbon atoms Ha and Hb, these are different protons, so they will give different signals in the NMR. Like this is ethanol, and here this CH3 will give one signal, the CH2 protons will give another signal, and this hydrogen which is attached to oxygen, that will give another signal. The 3 hydrogen atoms of the methyl group are chemically equivalent, because carbon-carbon bond can rotate, hence these 3 protons are chemically equivalent. Whereas these 2 hydrogen atoms attached to CH2 are equivalent to each other, because CO bond and CC bond can rotate. Where there is a possibility of rotating the bond between 2 atoms, there the hydrogen atoms will become chemically equivalent and they will give single signal, and this OH will give, this proton of the oxygen will give another signal, so 3 signals will be observed. And if we go some other examples, like dimethyl ether, it is having 2 equivalent protons, because these 3 protons and these 3 protons are attached to same oxygen, so this will give only one signal. And ethyl chloride, these 2 sets of protons are present in this, so it will give 2 NMR signals. And this is methyl ethyl ether, it will give 3 signals, 3 different types of protons, it will give 3 NMR signals. And 2-chlorobutane, it is having 4 different types of protons, 4 chemically different protons are there, so 4 sets of protons will give 4 signals in the NMR. And for benzene, all the protons are same, hence it will give only one peak. All the protons of benzene will get same chemical shift value. And coming to the dimethyl para 1,2-dimethyl benzene, it is having two different sets of protons. The protons of two methyl groups are equivalent and remaining four hydrogens of the benzene are equivalent, so we will get two peaks. So coming to this compound, here we are having two different sets. These two hydrogens which are present in the same chemical environment, so these two are equal, chemically equal, and this will give, these two protons will give one signal, whereas the four methyl groups are equivalent, hence this four methyl groups will give one signal. So totally two signals we will get from this compound. Always non-equivalent protons have different chemical shift and with the splitting occurs. Like here, if we take 1,2-dibromo, here these two protons are chemically equivalent, Hp. These two protons which are attached to the same carbon, these two protons are chemically equivalent, hence they will be observed single signal for these two protons, and the another proton which is attached to the adjacent carbon, that is Ha, that is chemically different from these two protons, hence it will give another signal. So always in the NMR spectrum, chemically equivalent protons will give the NMR signal, single peak in the NMR spectrum, whereas non-equivalent protons will give different signals. In the next session, we will discuss about the chemical shift and how it is going to affect on the different compounds. So that we will discuss in the next session. Thank you.